The message arrived on a Tuesday. After decades of broadcasting signals into the void, humanity finally received an answer. The Galactic Space Council had been monitoring Earth for nearly a century, categorizing humans as technologically primitive but potentially viable for observation status. Captain Hannah Park stood before the United Nations Security Council, her posture rigid as she delivered the news. They've extended an invitation for Earth to send representatives to observe a council session. They consider it a courtesy. Admiral Tawan sat silently at the end of the table, his weathered face betraying nothing as the diplomats argued. When the room finally quieted, he spoke. They think we're children playing with toys. Let them. In the weeks that followed, Earth's coalition of nations prepared their response. On paper, they would send the EDS Prometheus, a conventional vessel using publicly acknowledged technology. Physicist Dr. Jai-Ho would lead the scientific team, while Captain Hannah commanded the diplomatic mission. What the Galactic Space Council didn't know was that humanity had discovered something decades ago that changed everything. The Prometheus was not Earth's only ship. Hidden in an underground facility beneath the Pacific Ocean, 6 massive vessels waited. Their hulls were made of a material that absorbed light rather than reflected it. They were powered by dark matter engines, technology the rest of the galaxy believed was centuries beyond human reach. Captain Hannah reviewed the files of her crew one last time. Each person had been chosen carefully, brilliant minds who could keep secrets. She looked at Dr. Jai-Ho's photo, remembering when they first met at the Dark Matter Research Facility in Seoul. That day, he had shown her how they could bend space itself. "Are you ready for this?" Admiral Tawan asked, entering her office without knocking. "As ready as anyone can be to meet aliens who think we're primitives," she replied. The Admiral nodded. "Remember the plan. Show them only what they expect to see. The Dark Fleet will remain hidden until needed." The journey to the Galactic Space Council's station would take 3 weeks using conventional engines. This was part of the deception. The Dark Fleet could have made the journey in hours. Dr. Jai-Ho spent most of his time in the ship's lab, reviewing data on the alien species they would meet. The Volturians, insect-like beings who had been spacefaring for over 2,000 years. The Centaurians, a race of tall, 4-armed humanoids known for their diplomatic skills. And dozens of others, all far older in the cosmic community than humanity. "They'll underestimate us," he told Hannah during their evening meeting. "Their messages show they think we're just figuring out basic space travel." "Good," she said. "Let's hope we never have to show them otherwise." But both knew that hope was thin. Intelligence reports indicated growing tensions in the galactic community. A faction called the Core Dominion had been pushing boundaries, testing the Council's resolve. If conflict broke out, Earth's representatives would be caught in the middle. The night before their departure, Earth's leaders gathered for a final briefing. President Min addressed the room. "For 50 years, we've kept our true capabilities secret. We watched the stars and saw how emerging civilizations were treated. We chose a different path." Admiral Tawan stepped forward. "The Dark Fleet will shadow the Prometheus at a distance. If all goes well, they'll never know we're there." As dawn broke over the launch facility, Captain Hannah took one last look at Earth from the observation deck. The blue planet seemed so small, so vulnerable. Yet humanity had achieved what no one in the galaxy expected. They had unraveled the mysteries of dark matter, while the rest of the galaxy still struggled with theories. Dr. Jai-Ho joined her. "Beautiful, isn't it? Worth protecting." "That's why we're going," she said. "To make sure they never see us as a threat to be eliminated." The launch was broadcast globally, Earth's first official contact with galactic civilization. What the cameras didn't show was the 6 shadows that slipped from the underwater base hours later, rising through the ocean without creating a ripple on the surface. On board the Prometheus, the crew settled in for what would appear to be a long journey. Captain Hannah received one final encrypted message from Admiral Tawan. "Dark Fleet deployed. Shadowing at safe distance. Good hunting." As the Prometheus pushed past Mars, its conventional engines glowing, Dr. Jaiho stood in his private quarters, hand pressed against a small device. It showed 6 dark dots moving in perfect formation, invisible to standard sensors. Earth's secret guardians. The Galactic Space Council had invited humans to observe, to know their place in the cosmic hierarchy. They expected to see primitive beings taking their first tentative steps into space. Instead, they would meet representatives of a species that had already mastered the very forces that powered the stars. Captain Hannah reviewed her orders one last time. Observe, learn, hide their true capabilities unless absolutely necessary. But if threatened, if Earth or its people were endangered, she had the authority to call upon the Dark Fleet. And then the galaxy would learn that humanity was not merely emerging. They had already arrived. Remarkable engineering. For such a young species, the Vulturian delegate commented, mandibles clicking in what Dr. Jaiho recognized as poorly disguised condescension. The Prometheus had arrived at the massive GSC station after a journey that the aliens considered impressively quick for such rudimentary technology. Captain Hannah maintained her diplomatic smile throughout the formal introductions. Earth is classified as Category 3, announced High Counselor Nextera, barely spacefaring, but with promising cognitive abilities. Dr. Jaiho listened as alien scientists dismissed human theories on dark matter as creative but fundamentally misguided. He exchanged glances with Captain Hannah, who gave him an almost imperceptible nod. Their patience was tested when emergency alerts blared through the station. A rogue faction had attacked a peaceful system at the galaxy's edge. Civilian casualties were mounting. Our fleet will mobilize immediately, High Counselor Nextera announced, though the logistics officers reported a minimum 6-hour deployment timeline. Captain Hannah stepped forward. The Prometheus stands ready to assist. The Great Hall fell silent. Dozens of alien faces turned toward the human delegation. Some showed surprise, others amusement. Your offer is appreciated, said Counselor Nextera, her 4 eyes blinking in sequence. But this is a matter for Category 1 civilizations with proper combat capabilities. Dr. Jaiho felt his face grow hot. In his earpiece, he heard the soft voice of Admiral Ta-1 from the encrypted channel. Stay calm. Remember the plan. The Vulturian delegate chittered something that the translator rendered as laughter. Perhaps they could observe from a safe distance. Educational purposes. Captain Hannah stepped closer to the central platform. The Prometheus has defensive capabilities. We can evacuate civilians if nothing else. The great screens around the hall showed the attack in progress. 3 Cora Dominion warships firing on an orbital habitat. The civilians there had no weapons, no defenses. 6 hours is too long, Dr. Jaiho said, unable to contain himself. Those people will die while your ships are still preparing. A tall, blue-skinned delegate rose from her seat. The humans are right. We cannot wait. What would you have us do, Ambassador Lena? Asked Nextera. Our rapid response ships are in the Andraxian sector. Nothing closer can reach them in time. Captain Hannah exchanged a look with Dr. Jaiho. It was not part of the plan to reveal themselves so soon. But the screen showed children fleeing through corridors as bulkheads began to fail. The Prometheus can be there in 4 hours, said Captain Hannah, knowing even this was a lie. With their public engines, it would take at least 12. The council chamber erupted in voices. Most dismissed the human claim as ignorance of galactic distances. Some wondered if the translation had failed. Impossible, said the Vulturian. The Soren system is 16 light days from here. Your engines would need to be 4 times faster than what you've shown. Dr. Jaiho stepped forward. We've been making improvements. In the background, logistics officers continued their preparations. 6 hours until the GSC fleet could launch. By then, the habitat would be destroyed. We will accept your observation, said Nextera finally. You may accompany the fleet when it launches. Perhaps you will learn something of real space combat. Captain Hannah bowed slightly. With respect, we'll depart immediately. Those people need help now. The council watched in bemused confusion as the human delegation turned and walked from the Great Hall. Many delegates shook their heads or made species-specific gestures of dismissal. "Let them go," the Volturian said. "When they realize the distance, they'll turn back." In the docking bay, Captain Hana's diplomatic facade vanished. She activated her secure communicator as soon as they were aboard the Prometheus. "Dark Fleet, this is Captain Park. Emergency Protocol 7. Acknowledged," came Admiral Ta-1's voice. "The situation. Civilian habitat under attack. GSC response too slow. We're going to have to show our hand earlier than planned." There was a pause. "Understood. Dark Fleet moving to intercept. Coordinate with Prometheus for public appearance." Dr. Jai-Ho joined her on the bridge as they prepared for departure. "Are we sure about this? Once they see what we can do." "Those are children dying," she said simply. "Some secrets aren't worth keeping." The Prometheus launched from the GSC station with conventional engines glowing. On the station's observation deck, council members watched with a mixture of pity and amusement. "They'll turn back within the hour," said a Centaurian scientist. But the Prometheus did not turn back. Instead, once clear of the station, it suddenly accelerated at a rate that had the GSC traffic controllers shouting in alarm. "What's happening?" demanded Nextera, rushing to the tracking screens. "That's not possible with their technology." The Prometheus vanished from conventional sensors, leaving only confusion in its wake. 4 hours later, when the GSC fleet finally prepared to depart, a message came through on all channels from the Soren system. It was Captain Hana's voice, calm and clear. "This is the Earth vessel Prometheus. We've evacuated the civilians from the habitat. The attacking ships have been neutralized. We'll explain when you arrive." In the council chamber, silence fell as the implications became clear. The humans had lied about their technology. They had reached a distant system in a fraction of the expected time, and somehow they had defeated 3 warships that should have been far beyond their capability. "How?" whispered the Volturian delegate. "How is this possible?" Nextera had no answer, but as the GSC fleet finally departed, she had a sinking feeling that their careful categorization of species was about to be dramatically revised. The GSC representatives permitted the humans to join the response fleet, if only as observers. Their ship was assigned to the rear of the formation, where they could learn from watching real space combat tactics. Once in deep space, Captain Hana sent a coded message back to Earth. The response came not in words, but in action. From the darkness of space, 6 massive vessels materialized, their hulls absorbing light rather than reflecting it. The Volturian admiral's voice crackled over the comm. "Unidentified vessels. Identify yourselves." "This is Admiral Ta-1 of the Earth Dark Matter Fleet," came the response. "We've come to help." The alien delegates watched in stunned silence as the human ships moved with impossible speed and precision, their hulls seemingly made of solidified shadow. "How is this possible?" demanded Nextera. "Your species hasn't even mastered basic gravitic theory." Captain Hana's smile was no longer diplomatic. "We mastered dark matter manipulation 30 years ago. We simply chose not to share that information." On the command bridge of the GSC flagship, Nextera's 4 eyes widened in disbelief. The 6 human vessels were unlike anything in the known galaxy. They did not reflect sensor scans. They moved without visible propulsion. Most alarming of all, they were massive, each one nearly twice the size of the largest GSC battleship. "Scan them again," she ordered, her voice tight with tension. The Centaurian science officer shook his head. "Our scans pass right through them, Counselor. It's as if they're made of nothing." "Not nothing," said Dr. Jai-Ho, who had been invited to the command bridge to observe. "Dark matter. The hulls absorb energy rather than reflect it." The Volturian admiral's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation. "Impossible. Your species was sending primitive radio signals just a century ago." Captain Hannah stood quietly beside Dr. Joe. We learned to hide our true capabilities. Your council has a history of controlling emerging civilizations. On the main view screen, the Dark Fleet moved into formation. Their movement was eerily smooth, as if they slid through space itself, rather than pushed against it. No engine flares marked their path. No radiation signatures betrayed their power source. 30 years ago, Dr. Jaiho explained, seeing the questions in their eyes, a team of scientists discovered how to detect dark matter directly. 2 years later, we learned to manipulate it. 5 years after that, we built the first dark matter engine. The GSC officers exchanged nervous glances. Such a technological leap should have taken centuries, not decades. Why hide? Asked a blue-skinned officer. Your world could have joined the Council as a Category 1 civilization immediately. Captain Hana's expression hardened. We monitored your transmissions. We saw how you guided other emerging species, how you limited their development to match your expectations. We chose a different path. On the screen, one of the dark ships moved alongside the GSC flagship. It dwarfed the alien vessel. Through the viewport, officers could see its surface. Not metal, but something that seemed to bend light around it, creating an impression of depth where none should exist. Admiral Ta-1 requests permission to take point position. Captain Hana said, "The Cora Dominion is expecting your conventional approach. They won't be prepared for dark matter technology." Nextera hesitated. In a single moment, everything she thought she knew about galactic power had shifted. Earth was not a primitive world taking its first steps into space. It was a hidden giant that had chosen to appear small. "Permission granted," she said finally. Dr. Jaiho watched the alien officers, seeing the mix of fear, awe, and calculation in their expressions. This was always the risk, that revealing Earth's true capabilities would mark humanity as a threat rather than an ally. "You should know," he said quietly, "that we built these ships for defense, not conquest." The lead dark ship accelerated suddenly, leaving even the fastest GSC vessels behind. On the tactical display, it crossed light minutes of space in seconds, approaching the battle zone where the Cora Dominion forces were still attacking civilian outposts. "How are they moving so fast?" asked the Volturian admiral. "Dark matter doesn't interact with normal matter except through gravity," Dr. Jaiho explained. "Our ships can create controlled gravity corridors, essentially folding space between 2 points." Captain Hannah touched her communicator. "Admiral Ta-1 is requesting targeting data on the Cora vessels." Nextera blinked her 4 eyes in sequence, a sign of deep thought. Then she nodded to her tactical officer. "Send them everything we have." The data transfer was completed in seconds. On the main screen, they watched as the lead dark ship approached the first Cora cruiser. No weapons were visible on its hull. No energy signatures indicated charging weapons. "What are they doing?" asked an officer. "They're not firing." Then the Cora ship simply stopped. All movement ceased. Its engine still burned, but it hung in space as if caught in invisible hands. "Localized gravity manipulation," Dr. Jaiho said with quiet pride. "They've created a gravity well around the ship. It can't move." One by one, the other dark ships engaged the remaining Cora vessels. None fired a shot. They simply approached and the enemy ships froze in place, helpless. "You could have built weapons," Nextera said, turning to Captain Hana. "Why didn't you?" "Who says we didn't?" Captain Hana replied. "But today, we don't need them. Every life saved is a victory." The bridge fell silent as the implications became clear. Humanity had not just mastered dark matter. They had weaponized it in ways the GSC had never imagined possible. Yet they chose to use that power to immobilize rather than destroy. "I think," said Nextera slowly, "we need to reconsider Earth's classification, and perhaps our approach to emerging civilizations." Dr. Jaiho smiled slightly. "That counselor was always our hope." The rogue faction's fleet outnumbered the GSC vessels 3 to 1. Their energy weapons tore through conventional shields with ease, and they had positioned themselves to strike at a civilian station housing thousands. Dark Fleet, engage Pattern Omega, Admiral Todd commanded. What followed left the GSC representatives speechless. The human vessels moved like liquid shadow, their dark matter shields absorbing enemy fire without degradation. The flagship demonstrated a gravity manipulation system that simply froze enemy vessels in place. "That's impossible," whispered a GSC scientist. "They're bending space-time at will." When 3 enemy destroyers targeted the civilian station, the smallest human vessel interposed itself, drawing their fire while the flagship systematically disabled the attackers. Within hours, not weeks, the battle was over. No civilian casualties. All enemy vessels disabled rather than destroyed. On the command deck of the GSC flagship, alien delegates stared at the humans with new eyes, filled with both gratitude and fear. The battle had begun with confidence on the part of the core Dominion. They had studied GSC tactics for years. They knew the response times, the weapons capabilities, the shield frequencies. What they did not expect was the Dark Fleet. Admiral Ta-1 stood on the bridge of the flagship Shadow of Earth, his face illuminated by the soft blue glow of tactical displays. These showed the Cora fleet surrounding the civilian station like predators circling wounded prey. "They expect us to approach from Sector 7, he said to his crew. "So we won't." The 6 dark matter ships did not move as conventional vessels did. They did not push against space. Instead, they slipped through the folds between normal matter, appearing where physics said they could not be. On the GSC command ship, Nextera watched with growing amazement as the human vessels simply vanished from one position and appeared at another. "How are they doing that?" she demanded, turning to Dr. Jaiho. "Dark matter corridors," he explained. "We create pathways through the space between normal space." The Cora commander was the first to realize that something was wrong. His carefully planned ambush was falling apart as dark ships appeared inside his defensive formation, bypassing outer ships entirely. "Target the human vessels," he ordered. "Full power to forward batteries." Energy weapons lashed out, bright beams of destructive force that would have vaporized conventional ships. But when they struck the dark matter hulls, something strange happened. The beams did not bounce off. They did not cut through. They simply vanished, absorbed into the darkness. "Their shields," gasped a GSC engineer. "They're not deflecting energy. They're consuming it." Dr. Jaiho nodded. "Dark matter naturally absorbs energy. Our hulls can take in almost unlimited amounts." The largest Cora battleship turned all its weapons on the human flagship. Beams of energy poured from its guns in a continuous stream. For nearly a minute, the assault continued. When it ended, the Shadow of Earth remained untouched. Then it responded. No weapons fired. No missiles launched. Instead, space itself seemed to warp around the Cora ship. Its engines flared as it tried to move, but it remained fixed in place. "Localized gravity manipulation," Captain Hanna explained to the GSC officers. "We've created a gravity well around their ship. They're trapped in their own pocket of space-time." One by one, the human vessels engaged the Cora ships. Some they immobilized. Others they cut off from communicating with their fleet. A few simply disappeared from sensors entirely, trapped in bubbles of warped space. The Cora commander, desperate now, ordered his 3 remaining destroyers to target the civilian station. If they could not win, they would at least cause maximum damage. "The station's shields are failing," called out a GSC officer. "They can't withstand that firepower." Before anyone could respond, the smallest human ship, barely a quarter the size of the others, moved. It positioned itself between the attackers and the station, spreading what looked like wings of darkness to cover the structure. "They'll be destroyed," Nextera said. But Dr. Jaiho shook his head. "Watch." The destroyers fired everything they had. Their beams struck the dark shield, and simply disappeared. For 5 minutes, they poured enough energy into their attack to crack a small moon. The human vessel absorbed it all. Then, Admiral Ta One's voice came over the comm. Enough. This ends now. From the flagship, a pulse of invisible force expanded outward. When it touched the Chorus ships, their systems simply shut down. Engines died. Weapons went cold. Life support remained, but nothing else. In 27 minutes, the battle that the GSC had estimated would take weeks was over. On the station, thousands of civilians looked out their viewports in wonder at the dark ships that had saved them. They had no context for what they were seeing. Vessels that seemed made of shadow, moving in ways that defied known physics. Admiral Ta One opened a channel to all ships. This is the Earth Dark Fleet. The threat has been neutralized. All Cora vessels are disabled but intact. Their crews are unharmed. On the GSC flagship, silence reigned. The aliens stared at the humans among them with new understanding. Earth was not just advanced. It was beyond anything they had imagined possible. "You could have destroyed them all," said the Volturian admiral finally. "Why didn't you?" Captain Hannah looked at him steadily. "Because that's not who we are. We built these ships to protect, not to conquer." Dr. Jeho added quietly, "Every species deserves a chance to learn from their mistakes." As the GSC began coordinating the recovery efforts, Nexterra approached Captain Hannah privately. "Your deception was comprehensive," she said. "I wonder what else Earth is hiding." Captain Hannah's smile was small but genuine. "Hopefully nothing else will need to reveal through combat. But understand this, we came in peace and will remain in peace so long as that choice is respected." The message was clear. Earth had revealed only what it needed to. The 6 dark ships floating in silent formation were both protection and warning. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage not as supplicants, but as equals, perhaps even as superiors. And the galaxy would never be the same. Category 1 classification is unprecedented for a species with less than a millennium of recorded civilization, argued the Volturian representative during the emergency session. Dr. Jeho stood before the assembled council, projecting images of Earth's dark matter research facilities. "We solved the entanglement paradox 60 years ago. We've been harvesting dark energy for decades. And yes, we kept it secret because we observed how your council treats primitive species." The GSC representatives shifted uncomfortably. For centuries, they had categorized, dismissed, and sometimes exploited emerging civilizations. Captain Hannah addressed the council next. "Earth accepts your offer of full membership with conditions. Equal treatment, collaborative defense, and mutual respect. We came not to dominate but to protect." Admiral Ta One added, "Our fleet stands ready to defend any peaceful world from aggression, not as conquerors, but as guardians." As the session concluded, Dr. Jeho found himself approached by a Centaurian scientist named Lox. "Your dark matter theories. I'd like to learn more," the alien admitted. "Perhaps we could work together." Jeho smiled, extending his hand in the human gesture of partnership. "I think that's what we all wanted from the beginning." Behind them, through the vast observation window, Earth's dark matter ships hung in formation, their hulls shimmering between existence and possibility. A silent reminder that humanity had joined the galactic community not as subjects, but as equals. The Great Hall of the Galactic Space Council had never been so full. Representatives from over 300 worlds crowded the chamber. Many stood along the walls, unable to find seats. All had come to witness the unprecedented emergency session. At the center of the room, a hologram showed the battle that had just ended. Dark ships moving like ghosts through enemy formations, weapons that bent space itself, technology that should not exist. High Counselor Nexterra called for order as voices rose in alarm and wonder. "We are here to discuss the reclassification of Earth," she announced, "and to consider the implications of what we have witnessed." The Volturian representative, his insect-like form tense with agitation, spoke first. This is deception on a galactic scale. They presented themselves as primitives, while harboring technology beyond even our understanding. Captain Hannah stood calmly beside Dr. Jeho and Admiral Tawan. The three humans seemed small in the great chamber, surrounded by alien forms of all shapes and sizes. Yet every eye was fixed on them with new respect and wariness. "We did what was necessary," Admiral Tawan replied. "Your history with emerging species left us little choice." Dr. Jeho activated his presentation device. The air filled with images of Earth's hidden facilities, underground complexes where dark matter was studied and harnessed, orbital stations cloaked from conventional detection, the construction bays where the Dark Fleet had been built in secret. 60 years ago, he explained, a team of scientists discovered the true nature of dark matter, not just its existence, but how to interact with it. The images showed the progression of human understanding, early experiments, failed prototypes, and finally, success. "You claim your people solved problems that have baffled our best minds for centuries," said a Centaurian scientist. "How is this possible?" Dr. Jeho smiled slightly. "Sometimes fresh eyes see what experienced ones miss. We approached the problem without preconceptions." Captain Hannah stepped forward. "We observed your communications for decades before you knew we were listening. We saw how the Council treated new species, classifying them, limiting their growth, controlling their development. We chose a different path." The hall grew quiet as her words struck home. For centuries, the GSC had maintained order by carefully managing the advancement of younger civilizations, always for their own good, they claimed, but always maintaining the established powers at the top. "And now," asked Nextera, "what does Earth want?" "Full membership," Captain Hannah replied. "With conditions." She outlined humanity's terms: equal treatment as a sovereign civilization, no interference in Earth's continuing development, collaborative defense arrangements that respected human autonomy. "And in return," added Admiral Tawan, "our fleet will help protect peaceful worlds from aggression, not as conquerors, but as guardians." The implications hung in the air. Earth was offering its advanced technology for the common defense, but it was also making clear that it would not be controlled. The Council debated for hours. Some argued that Earth's deception proved humans could not be trusted. Others pointed out that the Dark Fleet had disabled, not destroyed the enemy vessels, showing restraint despite their overwhelming power. "We need to vote," Nextera finally announced, "on the reclassification of Earth as a Category 1 civilization, with all rights and responsibilities thereof." The vote was not unanimous, but the outcome was clear. Earth would join the ranks of the most advanced species in known space. As the formal session ended, the chamber broke into smaller groups. Many gathered around the humans, curious about the technology they had hidden for so long. Dr. Jeho found himself approached by a Centaurian scientist named Lox. Tall and slender, with 4 arms and crystalline skin, she was the leading expert on theoretical physics in the Council. "Your dark matter theories," she said hesitantly. "I'd like to learn more. Perhaps we could work together." Dr. Jeho smiled, extending his hand in the human gesture of partnership. Lox studied it for a moment, then wrapped one of her 4 hands around his. "I think that's what we all wanted from the beginning," he said. Across the chamber, Captain Hannah watched with satisfaction. This was what they had hoped for: not fear, but cooperation; not domination, but partnership. Through the vast observation window, Earth's dark matter ships hung in formation. Their hulls shimmered between existence and possibility, neither fully solid nor entirely ethereal. They were beautiful and terrifying at once, a silent reminder that humanity had joined the galactic community not as subjects, but as equals. Admiral Tawan came to stand beside her. "Do you think they understand?" he asked quietly. "That we could have revealed ourselves at any time?" Captain Hannah replied. "That we chose peace despite having the power for conquest." "I hope so." Outside, stars glittered across the void. Somewhere among them was Earth, still appearing small and blue and vulnerable. But now the galaxy knew the truth. Humanity had mastered forces that most species had barely begun to understand. They had built ships that could cross vast distances in moments. They had weapons that could bend space itself. And they had chosen to use that power not to rule, but to protect. As the council session formally closed, a new era in galactic history began. Earth was no longer watching from the shadows. Humanity had stepped into the light, on their own terms. The end.